Watching the Rolex Sports Car Series live and exclusive here on Speed Channel. Lee Diffie with Dorsey Schrader, Chris Neville, Brian Till and Calvin Fish. Second last race of the year. There's only 6.6 seconds separating the top 7 Daytona prototypes. This is close, it is fast, it is tough. But not only in the top class, look at this in GT. It's the Maserati of Washington, GT Light, with Barber leading Boris Said. The Maserati over the BMW, the second team BMW, is in third place with at the wheel. And these guys are running 10th, 11th and 12th overall. Fine effort, Calvin.
Yeah, it's a superb race out there in the GT class, of course, and Joao Barbosa, he is a superstar in the making, Lee. Some great performances this year. But one advantage that little Maserati has, one of the concessions running in the 2005 specification, has a slightly larger fuel cell, 24 gallons, as opposed to 21 in all of the other GT cars. So he's got a bit better mileage available to him this afternoon. But just to give you an update on the two PTG cars, Boris Said and Bill Auberlen will need one more stop, and during that stop they need to hand over to their teammates, of course, Joey Hand and Justin Mark. So I think the key is going to be how they perform, how their teammates perform, and as I said in the open, Joey Hand has been flying in dry conditions, so if we don't see any rain, look for him to perform this afternoon.
Well, Calvin mentioned the word flying. I tell you who's flying. It's Max the Axe Angelelli. He just did a lap 1.7 seconds faster than our race leader. We ride with the Axe. Let's enjoy this.
Drops coming down more frequently. Max will have to be pretty cautious about how slippery some of these corners, these brake zones will be becoming. Although he is absolutely flying. Lap time's almost 2 seconds quicker than anybody on the racetrack right now.
Speedway in 3 weeks' time. You can see just how tight, how delicate, how fragile this championship is. With more on this unique windshield you're looking at from inside the Pontiac Riley, the Sunshine machine, Calvin will elaborate.
Well, we certainly see some great perspective there with the in-car cameras, what the drivers are looking at. We remember back to Daytona when we had all that rain lead. Really a struggle for these Daytona prototypes to keep that windshield clear. I spoke to the Ganassi team before the off today, speaking to Mike Hull, the team manager, and said, how are you guys looking if we do get heavy rain? He said, well, we've done a lot of work. We take the cars, whenever it rains at the workshop in Indy, we take them up to a big open parking lot. We run the cars around, the mechanics driving it. We just keep trying stuff. We feel we've really come up with a good solution in keeping these windshields clear now.
A little further up the field, Andy Wallace has executed the pass on David Donahue, and so too is Terry Borchella. Here's our race leader, Elliott Robinson. We heard from his co-driver Butch Leitzinger earlier, and Elliott's enjoying a 1.5 second lead. Not even that now. Here's Doug Goad in the orange machine, the spirit of Daytona, DP.
They think they have trouble right now. They're going to have trouble when Max gets there, because Max is running 2 seconds quicker than all these guys.
Let's find out more about these guys.
Lee, a few laps ago, we started to see EFR in the 4 and Doug Goad in the 09 start to pull away from the cars behind them because Andy Wallace and Max Pappas were putting so much pressure on David Donahue. And Troy Fliss was telling Doug, just stay behind EFR. Don't put any pressure on him. You guys are pulling away. But now that Wallace has gotten around Donahue, it looks like Wallace is starting to close in on Doug. So they're going to have to start turning up the wick and probably put a little bit of pressure on EFR.
And yet again, we are seeing just a top-shelf performance from Andy Wallace. After he takes over from his regular co-driver, Milka Duno, there is no stopping this guy. His team owner and his future father-in-law Max Crawford said this morning he thinks the reason that Andy is performing, obviously he's a world-class sports car driver, he's won Sebring, he's won Le Mans, he's won the Rolex 24 at Daytona, but he thinks the big difference this year is that Andy has been able to shape this team around him. This team is for him, and he can make adjustments on the car, how he likes it, what he wants to do, rather than just being one of the drivers.
Well, you know, Andy will go up to Max and say, well, what do you think about this? And Max will say, look, it's your team. Just go ahead, do whatever you want to do. He's never had that position before where he can completely run things.
And how exciting for Troy Fliss and the Spirit of Daytona team to run second. They're ahead of Andy Wallace. Here is Borchello. Started on the front row, now runs fourth and is still staying well in touch and is just hanging on the back of Andy Wallace and running with it. Big difference between these two, besides the chassis, is that the 54 has to execute a driver change. Christian Fittipaldi must climb in that car.
And that will take some precious seconds away when they make that stop. It won't be very long now before Max is just to the tail end of this track. He's catching these guys at 2 seconds a lap. So it won't be long. You'll see that black number 10 SunTrust car mixing it up in here too.
Very easy to forget about the man who has been heavily financially involved in that team and as a driver as well, and the man who took the checkered flag at the Rolex 24 this year, Forrest Barber. Forrest, although not driving, is still a very major part of that team. We'll be enjoying seeing the 54 run in the top four. The 58 Red Bull Porsche from Brumos. David Donoghue running in the top five, and he's only 2.5 seconds back. This is a good tight race up front, but look who is zeroing in on the back. Pruitt has gone past Negri and is starting to pull away. Mad Max is zeroing in. Meanwhile, Angelelli has already worked his way back up into the top 10 and is now only 39 seconds down on the race leader and literally carving seconds off the lap times and zeroing in on the front. Just as we went to commercial break, the Lexus Doran for Michael Shank Racing went off the track and collided with the barrier. There's not too much damage at the front, but as you can see, it's stationary on pit road. Look up ahead. Contact between Luis Diaz and Oswaldo Negri Jr. And we show you the outside. Watch the front of the car here, Dorsey.
It's right to the end of this barrier. Watch this. Boing! Right there. Not a lot of damage. You said it's up front, so they're working at the back. Something wrong in the back.
Someone who's closer is Brian Till. What's going on down there, Brian?
Yeah, Lee, I'm right here, and the damage to the back is the upper wishbone. Actually, the suspension piece up top is bent, and that is going to have to be replaced. Obviously, a long stop for these guys, and bitter disappointment. They had worked so hard all week long to basically completely rebuild this car after the huge crash at VIR last weekend. A lot of these guys didn't sleep for several days and got here almost asleep in pit lane, and now this. Heartbreaking for these guys, but if anybody has the heart to fix it and get it back out there, it'll be the team of Michael Shank Racing, guys.
Michael Shank Racing does not lie down. They do not give up. Oh, look at this. Max Pappas has got David Donoghue. That was for fifth.
David Donoghue with a little slide there. You saw him have to check up, get some opposite lock in the car. That opened up the inside. That's all it took.
Right, so of our front runners, race leader Elliot Forbes Robinson needs to hand over to Butch Leitzinger. Second place, Doug Goat needs to hand over to Stephen Greenwald. Wallace has already performed his driver change. Borchello needs to hand over to Christian Fittipaldi. Max Pappas needs to hand over to Scott Pruitt. And David Donoghue needs to hand over to Darren Law. Plenty still to come, with 1 hour and 15 minutes remaining here at Barber Motorsports Park, and there is still a championship on the line between this car and the 10 and the 2. They are all up and running, they're all on the lead lap, and they're all separated by only 40-odd seconds.
There the two again, the smoke between smoke and weekend. We keep saying that, but that smoke to me looks like it's getting a bit worse. Happens only in the corners though, so that might just be an overflow situation, overfill.
Let's take a look at an earlier incident on board with Max Pappas. David Donoghue up ahead.
Watch David when he gets in this corner. He's going to get the back end's going to break free under braking. And he'll do a good job of saving it here. Taking an outside line around the car, and that might have done it.
Apologies for that. That wasn't quite the one we were looking for the overtaking move, but nonetheless, always great to see those onboard shots. And here, look at this tremendous scrap. The three big boys, Andy Wallace, Terry Borchello, Max Pappas going hard at it. There's race leader Elliot Forbes Robinson, and Doug Goad is relishing this opportunity. He's looking in the mirror, looking up ahead, and he says, hey, I'm running with the big boys.
He is running with the big boys. This is for all the marbles, too, up here. Wallace has come, after that change, has come from almost a half a lap deficit to catch into this pack.
Pappas now. The 0-2 is Luis Diaz. You saw Diaz involved in that incident earlier. It appeared as though there was contact between he and Oswaldo Negri.
Yeah, there was. There's no question. That's what bent that wishbone.
And let's find out more from the Brazilian himself. Oz is with Brian.
2 weekends in a row, the bad luck has bitten you, Oswaldo Negri. What happened out there today? Obviously very upset.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really upset. Luis Diaz had no business in doing what he did. I mean, we were battling. We didn't touch anybody. Overtook guys. Guys overtook me without touching. And Luis Diaz just hammered me in the back. I mean, this is so ridiculous. If he cannot overtake anybody without punching, you know, the opening of the track, I don't know what to deal with. I'm really, really upset. You know, my guys worked a lot to put this car and be competitive the way we were on the race. You know, running, I think we had the top 3 fastest car there, and just ends like that. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Well, we said at the beginning of the show, guys, that it's going to be tough out here, a lot of traffic, and I think we've got an incident out on track. Traffic once again.
Yeah, there was contact between Doug Goad and Vic Rice, and Luis Diaz got held up there. And that opened up a can of worms. You see the 7 and the 09 stuck on track. But further up back at the front of the field, that opened up an opportunity for Pappas to try and pass Terry Borchella. So everything is happening here at Barber. And look at that, Borchella's been able to hold Pappas at bay. We said right at the top of the show, passion, emotion, frustration, and you saw it all right there with the incident. Diaz and Oswaldo Negri.
And again, right there, Doug Goad gets into the Vic Rice, spins Vic Rice, and there is, let's see it from this angle. See exactly what happens here. Watch now, Doug Goad goes down the inside of the orange car. He gets a little lockup right there, touches the 7, around goes the 7. Now they're going to back up, and look, here, traps the,
Diaz.
Diaz is stuck.
On board with Vic Rice. Easy as that. Look at Wallace and Borchella thread the needle.
And look at these.
And Diaz got stuck.
He backs up and shuts the door. When Doug Goad backed up, there was no way for him to go. Watch here. Just backs in, closes the door.
Those situations are so tricky because for Terry Borchella and Andy Wallace to sneak through that narrowing gap, all he needs to do is that car rolling backwards to catch the rear wing or some body part. That causes an unnecessary pit stop. Goad is still stuck on the track, mind you, while this battle rages between Borchella and Pappas. This is for 3rd.
And if they can't get Goad's car going, they're going to have to do a full course caution because there it is right now. Because he's right in the middle of the racetrack. Full course caution.
Now with 1 hour and 11 minutes remaining, watch them dive for pit lane now. Watch the driver changes about to happen. And that's a real shame to see that happen for the Spirit of Daytona team. Doug Goad was running in 2nd place. Race leaders in, 2nds in, 3rds in. They're all coming in, and there will be driver changes happen here, you betcha. The only car that has not come in appears to be Andy Wallace, who stayed out on track and inherits the race lead. On board with Max Pappas. Scott Pruitt is standing by. The CompUSA Ganassi team.
Oh, they're both in pit lane. These two get together right in front.
And Mark Raffoff, race director, told them in the drivers' meeting this morning, do not try and attempt that on pit road. Brian.
Well, EFR brings the 4 car in. He will get out the race leading car when he came in. Butch Leitzinger will take over the seat here. They too will go back with slick tires, and just behind them, the 01 car is in. Scott Pruitt will take over the 01 CompUSA machine. He will go with slick tires and full fuel. The battle will get back out onto the racetrack. Chris?
Brian, the 58's also in. David Donahue hopped out. Darren Law getting in this car. They've already done the tire change. They're finishing up Darren. They just pulled the fuel hose away, so good stop for these guys. Very excited about their performance. Calvin?
Max Angelelli is in with the number 10 SunTrust car. They're going to tires and fuel only. No adjustments, we believe, this time. Wayne Taylor says, I think we have the car that can still get victory here today. They needed a caution. The question, though, is going to be whether these guys can stretch fuel to the checkered flag with just over an hour and 10 minutes left, Lee.
Calvin, it seems as though it's getting heavier, the rain. Is that the case?
No, it's about the same, Lee. I think that in these conditions, these boys would definitely... And Max Angelelli stalls it briefly. Can he get it fired back up? Yes, he does, as the number 39 car comes in. No, I think the conditions, Lee, are staying pretty consistent. It's really not getting wet enough yet.
It is a very trying day, nonetheless. And this man, although he's very obvious and public, this late for the wet weather driving has been performing beautifully and keeping his teammate Taylor in the championship hunt. Welcome back, everyone, to Barber Motorsports Park. Trouble continues for the 39 Spark of Georgia Tech tyre. Chris Hall, one of the team principals behind the wheel right now, and a day that started with so much promise has been a little frustrating ever since they went with the wet tyre option at the beginning of the race, and it proved the incorrect decision. So there's been a couple of spins, both by Chris and by Andrew Davis, but nonetheless, they'll get back out there and finish this race, an important one for them. Near enough to a home event here in Birmingham, Alabama. Set to roll again, the green will fly, and the championship points leader is at the front, but look at Butch Leitzinger diving up the inside. He got a tremendous run off, and he goes flying up into the lead. Leitzinger leads this race.
All these guys won it by Vic Rice right away. They knew they could jump him at the start. They did. Most effectively, of course, was Butch.
On board with Christian Fittipaldi. He looks at his fellow former champ car driver Scott Pruitt up ahead. But Leitzinger's restart was lightning.
Perfectly next. No question about it. Very similar racetrack. And that man back there in the 10, Max the Axe, has got to get going. He's got to catch up here to Pruitt.
Uh-oh. Paul Wagner has spun the 81rx.com door. Whether that will bring out another yellow, please not.
It is
too shallow.
Yeah. Full course yellow again, and it's starting to rain quite hard.
Will this race ever get going again? I want to give a pat on the back to Andrea Montermini. This is his first race in a Daytona prototype, and he has done very well to be running in 6th place, or in 5th place right now in the 27 Doran Lister. Well, what an amazing restart by Butch Leitzinger. It really launched off turn 15, and he got the run on Scott Pruitt. Marshall's there on the spot, helping out Court Wagner. Let's find out more from the G&W Motorsports pit with Chris.
Lee, Court just lost it on that restart, spun the car around, and we tried to get it going again. He nosed it up against the wall, and he was having a very difficult time grabbing reverse. That's why he was stuck there. He did not stall. So now the workers have finally pushed him, and he's back out going.
Unlike a street car, these cars don't have very much turning radius. If you tried to turn full lock and make a circle, it would be more than the circumference of the racetrack itself. So that's what's happened. He tried to pull forward, got himself up against the wall, nowhere to go.
More than the width of the racetrack.
Right.
Circumference, that'd be a pretty big turning circle.
Well, it's pretty big, yeah.
Let's hear more on the 4. Here's Brian.
Well, Butch Leitzinger doing a great job, but the man that handed him that car up front, Elliot Forbes Robinson, a tremendous job under what I don't even think difficult conditions describes it.
Well, it's tough out there because, you know, you get to a corner, and last time it was dry, next time you lock up the wheels because it won't stop, and you never know what you're going to get. You see the water on the windshield sometimes, but the guys gave me such a good car today that I had to, you know, do my best, and it was up front, fortunately.
Well, we saw the problem with the gurney lip also, coming off the back end of the car. Did that affect the handling?
No, it didn't seem to at all. I was just worried the guys behind me are going to think I was signaling to go in the pits.
He said he actually saw it from his mirrors earlier, guys, but they were able to repair that on the stop, and Butch should have a good car to the finish.
Well, it's certainly good on restarts, that's for sure. Leitzinger leads the way. The 2 is in yet again. And the rain continues to fall here in Alabama. Stay with us. We're inside our final hour. Back live at Barber Motorsports Park, and there are some important decisions being made, most notably by the Sitco number 2 Howard Boss Motorsports machine, and this, the 27 Doran Lister, with Andrea Montermini, the Italian on board, the former F1 star, and the decision, the key decision, is to go to wets.
Now, for Andy Wallace, who is all the way at the back of the pack with the number 2, there's nothing to lose. And Chris is down here with the 81.
Dorsey Price Cobb has made the decision. These guys are going full wets too. They did not lose a lap on that spin, so this team has gotten very lucky. They're rebounding after their bad week at VIR last weekend, and they're rolling the dice, taking the gamble with the wets, just like the 2 car.
Well, Chris, tell us, is this the right decision? Is it raining hard enough?
Lee, I think it might be. You know, it's kind of been on and off all day, but we're definitely getting a little bit heavier rain than we've had the entire race, and it looks pretty nasty from where the rain is coming from.
Well, we were talking during that commercial break and specifically about the 27, and as Calvin pointed out, remember the 27, their one and only Daytona prototype victory came earlier this year at the short course race at Watkins Glen when it poured with rain. Then it started to dry up at the end, and Kevin Doran pulled Jan Magnussen in and put slicks on. It's a reverse decision now. Will it play in their favor? We'll find out. Can second place Scott Pruitt run with Butch Leitzinger? What's Christian Fittipaldi got for Pruitt? All of those questions will be answered right now as we go back to green. Pruitt got a little squirrely on 15. Leitzinger again launches the ball.
My question is, how slippery is turn one? We're about to find that out.
Fittipaldi on Pruitt, side by side, the Doran and the Riley, and Pruitt holds strong.
Almost made contact there, and it wouldn't take anything to turn you around. Look at the slide right there. Pruitt with a little bit of wiggle out the back. It's very slippery. This is the worst of conditions right now.
Christian Fittipaldi told Brian earlier that these are tricky conditions, but he doesn't mind the wet. And he's running in the Kodak Easy Share car a good solid third and pressuring the points leader. Meanwhile, Angelelli has made quick work of getting by Darren Law, and the SunTrust car continues to power on.
And it's Angelelli who's got to be the aggressive one now. He has got to get by Pruitt without question if he wants to stay alive in this championship.
Lead GT car, there it is there. Bill Auckland, Justin Marks, they've executed their change. Justin is behind the wheel. So too is Joey Hand, second in GT. Third is the Grand Am Porsche with Marino Franchitti driving that car and doing a good job. There's the Scotsman.
You can see the sheen in the corners now. You can start to see a little bit of the sheen in the wet, which means definitely it's going to be slippery, but I hate to say it, it's not ready for rain tires yet. The guys on rain tires are going to really be chewing them up and blistering them.
Well, they are 10th, 11th and 12th, and when I say they, the cars, the drivers who have opted to go for the wet weather tires. Andy Wallace is 10th, Andrea Montermini is 11th, and Court Wagner is 12th. We will monitor their progress. Has it been the right decision? We'll find out in a few laps' time.
Well, the real question is if it keeps raining. If it continues to keep drizzling, they might just, in fact, pull out the food that they need to win this race. On the other hand, if it dries up at all, those rain tires are only good for 3 or 4 laps before they go way off.
Fittipaldi likes his chances in turn one. He did this last time on Scott Pruitt, but not quite close enough.
Feeling him around, though, is what he's doing now, is just trying to size him up for that pass down to one. It's a hard braking area. One, it's downhill. It's quite tricky.
Stop and go penalty for the 22, and Calvin has more on this.
Well, this was for that wheel gun that was connected when Joey Hand left his pit box. And it's taken him this long to get the stop done. It has to be done under green, and this will really have championship implications with Justin Marks out front in the 21 car, Lee.
And Fittipaldi takes the fight to Scott Pruitt. Meanwhile, in the background, the guy who's closing in on these two fighting it out is Max Angelelli. And Angelelli can take more championship points away from this car we ride with. Pruitt is in danger of losing another spot. He sits third at the moment.
You look at Pruitt trying to fight his way back from Fittipaldi right there. Didn't happen. Christian had nothing of it. Look at him drive away now.
Let's hear from the man who did the opening stint, put it on pole yesterday. Mad Max Pappas is with Brian.
Max, I know you fought in the early part of the race on slick tires, out on a wet racetrack, but the rain coming down harder now, and I think Scott's out on slicks now too.
The conditions are extremely difficult. You know, the track is still fast enough to go around on dry, on slick, but you know, offline is very slippery. Actually, now it looks like it's getting a little bit more wet. And you know, we have a lot more to lose than most of the other people. So I was a little bit cautious, you know, not to try to make a mistake, but still pushing hard. And I'm glad that Scott now is up there in front. And being in front in this track is definitely very important. Track position is everything.
Well, he's glad that Scott's up in front, and I'm betting Max is glad he's not sitting in the seat right now as hard as it's raining with that car on slick tires.
Well, it's very tricky. Let's have a listen to the throttle application on board with Scott Pruitt in these dicey conditions for the sounds of speed.
Starting to slip around, even on this high-speed section where downforce is making the thing really grip. It's very slippery right now. You can hear him going through his 6-speed gearbox. That's 8,000 revs on that Lexus motor.
go up to the 54 and join Christian Fittipaldi. Have a listen.
Key there as you listen to Christian Fittipaldi is how smooth he is. When we had the Champ Car coverage here on Speed in the past few years, we really always waited for Christian Fittipaldi to get these wet conditions and really show the talent he has. Being smooth in these conditions really pays dividends, and he's certainly shown out front. They're looking for a Kodak moment. They haven't had one since Daytona, Lee.
Well, I'll tell you who's in the moment right now is the SunTrust pilot, Max Angelelli, and these are the points of